Hi, my name is Allison, and this is my podcast. It's called When the Dog Bites. And what happened to me is last April, the dog bit me. You can see my scar still. But a funny thing happened. My life actually turned upside down in the best way. And all I want to do is talk to people about their own crazy thing that happened, their own dog bite, and then their stories of resiliency. So come on in, we're gonna get real, we're gonna get vulnerable, and I promise you, you will leave inspired and knowing that you can do hard things too.
Hello, my name is Allison, and this is my new project. Look at that one, okay. I think we should keep it. Okay, hi, my name is Allison Tibbetts, if you want my full name. But this is my new project. It's called When the Dog Bites. And it is a podcast based on whatever really I want it to be. This season, though, we're going to focus on lessons in resiliency. So why are we doing this? Where did this even come from? Well, I thought for the very first episode ever, it would be very appropriate to bring my favorite human on, my husband, Mr. Russell Tibbetts.
Hello.
And just kind of set the tone, kind of the feel for what this is. Hi, babe.
Hi.
Thanks for being on.
In case people are wondering, she's the extroverted one.
Yes.
I'm not as much.
Yes, but you've been with me on this journey that affected both of us.
That's very true.
So I thought for this very first episode, we could just kind of might cry because it sucks so bad, but kind of just revisit what happened on April 25th of last year.
Okay.
And really the changes and things that you've seen, I guess, since then in me.
Okay.
I mean, you get a front row seat to me.
It's okay because you love to cry.
I do love to cry.
Love to cry.
I cry almost every day.
That's true. It's healthy.
Okay, so let's start with the high level overview of our lives for people listening, if they're interested.
Okay, we are married.
We're married. How long have we been married?
Oh boy, 14 years.
14 years.
Oh my gosh.
We've
No.
together.
10 years. We've been together for 14
I
years.
thought 14 too. Okay, we've been married 10.
We don't even have the story straight.
We've been married 10, together 14.
Correct.
We have 2 kids.
We do.
Noah and Davey.
Noah's 5 and Davey is 3.
Yep.
And they are wonderful.
They're wonderful, and our lives are chaotic and fun.
Yes.
In real-time jobs, we both have full-time jobs.
Correct.
We work in tech.
Correct.
We love to work on projects together.
We do.
We have real estate.
We do a lot of different things together.
Yeah.
Our lives are crazy.
They're very crazy. But I think that around this time last year, they were 10 times crazier.
And they just kept getting crazier.
Yeah. So this time last year, I was at a big, giant tech company, and I was extremely stressed out. And I was fighting with the man, literally.
The man.
Every day. And then another man.
All the men. You're fighting all the men.
Fighting with a lot of men.
Physically, proverbial.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm so nice. I'm like, what are we doing? And I was one of 2 women on a leadership team. And it was really terrible. To the point where, do you remember on Solar Eclipse Day?
I was about to ask if you remembered that. That was the day.
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore.
Yes. That was the day that I was like, I don't want this job to be my life. So it's almost like something was changing in me before this event happened.
Yes.
So it was April 8th I think the eclipse was on the 14th. The 8th was when that really terrible conversation happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to open an HR case. Remember how dramatic that was?
Oof.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for dealing with me on all that. And then we had the eclipse, and Noah was with us, and it was such an amazing time.
Yep. It is so weird how something like that just changes your whole frame of reference for the rest of your life. But then it even got even more. It was crazy and then got even crazy.
I know. And now I have a career astrologist, and I'm super into my woo-woo, and I think the eclipse changed me.
Oh, absolutely.
And our family.
For sure. Yes.
So that was this really amazing moment, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to go on leave.
But then something else happened.
Yeah, so I went on leave, and I was supposed to start the next day officially.
Yes.
I was supposed to start on April 26th, and then on April 25th, I was walking back from getting a plant because a friend's friend had died. And basically, something crazy happened. I didn't have the kids with me. I had the dogs.
Thank goodness.
And, you wanna talk about it? Because I can read it and then we can like fill in the holes.
Well, so from my perspective, I was at home. I was working. I just finished something, and I was taking a break, and I literally just sat down and was like, whew. And then my phone starts ringing, and I know that you're headed back. And I like, that's weird that she's calling. She's like 2 blocks away. I know where you were. And then I just hear screaming in the background. And it's not your voice.
Ah!
And it was you screaming, and it was somebody's voice saying, hey, they told me where you were and said she needs help. And I didn't have shoes on. And I walk out of our door, which is 2 blocks away, and I can hear the screaming. So I have no idea where you are, but I can find you just by following the sound of your screams on the street. And so I sprinted down the street, and you can fill in the rest.
Whew. Okay, I'm gonna take a minute and gather my thoughts because I don't even like talking about this, but it has to be done. So let's take a minute and we'll come back and I'll read my LinkedIn post. That might be a little easier for me to get through.
Okay, if you're listening, you probably just heard a really powerful, intense story. Before we get to the resiliency part, I just want to take a minute. Thank you for listening. This is where an ad would go. And if you're listening thinking, hey, I could be that person, please reach out. But I do want to remind you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Allison Macklick. That's where we're going to have a ton of behind the scenes. You can see how this all comes together. And with that, let's jump back in.
Okay, I am already sweating, just even remembering this, because it brings up a lot of PTSD. So I am gonna just read my LinkedIn post about it. Yeah, so I'm not like weeping on the first episode that we do together.
There will be weeping in other episodes. We don't need it for the start.
Yeah, me and my best friend Sam recorded one just as like a test, sobbing. It's like, this is not gonna work.
That should have been the name of the podcast.
Let's sob together.
Yes.
Okay. So 5 months ago, it doesn't tell me the exact date, but I put this on LinkedIn. It just says when the dog bites asterisk.
That's a asterisk.
Asterisk?
You know that word.
You know it. Okay. On April 25th of this year, my dogs and I were attacked by an off-leash aggressive dog while on a walk. It was horrific as you can imagine. As I jumped in to try to save one of our dogs, Mr. BB, I sustained 13 significant bite puncture wounds, the worst on my hands and my left hand and my right arm. Still have my scars pretty much all over. They said this one would lighten, and now it's getting like funky and like.
I remember when you came home from the hospital with those.
Yeah, I'll put some pictures up. But Davey the other night said it was ugly and needed a Cinderella tattoo, so we put it on.
She prettied it up for you.
I got BB out of the dog's mouth for the first time. The second time, the dog bit down on his right leg, crushing it completely and breaking all bones, including the hip bone. The only reason he's alive today is because when my fight instinct realized I couldn't save him, I started screaming for help. And I'm guessing that's when you heard me.
It is.
Because it was like a movie screaming where the sound I've never made before came out. And it didn't stop.
It did not.
No, it didn't. 5 men who were working on the road heard me and decided to act. They saved us. I saved us. Our other dog of 14 years, Sheldon, not so lucky, suffered a medical event during the attack we now know might have been a heart attack.
Heart attack or stroke or something.
Yeah. He could not recover from, so we no longer have Sheldon. R.I.P. Sheldon.
Yeah. King.
Oh yeah, rest in power, King. That's what we say. But BB and I have been healing both mentally and physically through in-depth trauma work all summer. I'm finally on the other side of this and something strange has happened. I'm grateful for this experience. How is that possible? Going through something like this shakes you awake. It doesn't mean I'm fully healed. Even writing this post has triggered nightmares. Can't wait for tonight.
Yes, absolutely. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, it probably is going to get weird tonight. But I felt more alive in the last 4 months than the last 4 years. You always think you do X, Y, Z in an emergency, but when you're in that situation, you never really know. Besides screaming. Now I know deep in my soul that I'm a fighter. Why am I sharing this on LinkedIn of all places? Because I have changed as a person. Who I am and what I value has become crystal clear in both my personal and professional life. Big changes are coming, and I wanted to provide some background and context before sharing. Net, sometimes when the dog literally bites, it's the best thing that can happen to you. And then the asterisk is what I'm going to call my future book, podcast, speaker series, etc.
And there we go.
And here we go.
And that's why it's when the dog bites.
When the dog bites.
Yes.
Ooh, I'm sweaty. Okay, so right after that happened, so right after that happened, you as obviously my best friend and my husband, like you were freaking out. You came down to see me. Had you ever seen me like that in your life?
I don't think most people have seen anybody like that. I mean, it just like physically, no. And emotionally, no. I mean, it was just like total chaos, right? And
Blood was everywhere.
blood was everywhere. And so it was really difficult, to be honest, because I know BB was the one who suffered a lot of the attack as well. And everybody was saying, you really need to get him to the hospital. And I'm like, I get that. I love that dog. But also my wife has just been attacked.
Yeah.
I need to make sure she's okay.
Yeah.
And so it was really weird, like in such a chaotic moment, being like torn in, like in trying to be in two places at the same time. And all that ended up working out. He had surgery. He's fine, living honestly his best life.
Really
He's
is.
doing so well.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I read something the other day that says sometimes trauma is the beginning of your new life.
Ooh.
And it was just a few days ago, and I immediately thought of you and that attack, because so much has happened as a result of that, right? Like
We're gonna unpack that in a minute.
Got it.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah. The last couple things that I remember you saying later, I don't remember this then, like I could not stop screaming even after I wasn't being attacked and had the dogs. And that police officer told you to tell me to shut up because I could not.
He did say, "Can you contain your wife?" And I said, "I haven't been able to since we got married, and I definitely can't now."
No. And I remember thinking, what if I can't use my hands ever again? Because they weren't. Yep. They were in shock. I think I was in shock.
Sure.
And then I remember getting in. Things get a little crazy, and then I got in the ambulance, and I saw you go with BB, and then I told the guy I peed myself, and he goes, "Baby, it's okay that you didn't poop." And I said, "Okay." And I kind of like started coming to, and I just remember being like, "I'm never gonna write again. I'm never gonna be like panic." And then get to the hospital in the emergency, and one of our friends, Mary Beth, came, and my dad and my stepmom were there, and then that basically kicked off a summer of healing.
It did.
To get us to where we are now. So let's take a minute. I'm gonna get some water. I'm sweaty, very sweaty, and we'll come back and talk about where we are now.
Got it. Thank goodness for sweaters.
Okay, so that was, I'm sweaty.
That was intense.
Yeah, that was really rough. If I hadn't have already been going on leave, I would have been on leave.
Yes.
Because I couldn't do anything with the kids or anything, at least for that first month.
I mean, it was physically and emotionally taxing.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember not just the physically, I can't move my hands, but like nightmares and just thinking about it all the time, which, I mean, such a traumatic event.
Yeah. Okay. So the first thing, so now we're going to talk about like the lessons I learned on how to be resilient. I remember in that first month, I was depressed and I was like, I'm never going to recover from this. Like,
I do remember that. But then it was something changed, right? Which clearly is the reason for this podcast. But like, there was something where it was almost like a day when you're like, I'm not going to let this define me. And you just and everything took off. And it's just been like uphill from here.
Yeah, I think it was, okay, so that was April 25th. I think we were in, all the power went out for a week and we lost all our food and everything. We had to move into that hotel.
We did.
Remember that? And we said, we're taking the kids. This is insane. This is literally insanity. I still couldn't really use my hands. We're going to go to Port Aransas and go to Cinnamon Shore. Mm-hmm. Shout out. Great place. Great.
Future sponsor.
Yeah, seriously. Hey, Cinnamon Shore. And we were there, and I remember thinking, I am not mentally ready to start this job. Do you remember that? I had gotten that offer. I knew I was going to leave the company I was at, and me and you had that conversation, and I was in with a psychotherapist at this time, like my summer of healing. And then I was in a lot of rehab and all the things. And I remember talking to you and I said, I think I have to push the start date. And you said, don't do it.
And I remember that clearly, because I remember that is like, this is when she got her confidence back again.
Yes.
Because I was saying, like, from a perspective of, you have this amazing opportunity. Yep. And I was worried for you that like, the company was going to push back and say it's too late. And you're like, nope, if they want me, and they're willing to wait.
Yes. And it even kind of shocked me because that's not normally like me.
Yeah.
Ever before, up until that point in our relationship. And I'm not really like, let me push back and all the things. And I was just kind of like, no. Like, I'm listening to my body. I'm listening to myself. I am mentally not ready. I am not physically ready. And then I was like, kind of worried to like tell you that I didn't agree with you. And then it was like, no, everything's okay. Like, we can disagree. It's okay. And we were
First fight we ever had, by the way.
Yeah, right. But we were in that little bathroom in Cinnamon Shore because the kids were asleep. We had to be quiet.
Oh my gosh.
And I think for me, that's when things slowly started like, almost like, okay, I can do this. I can trust myself. And then it was more therapy. And then we decided to go to Europe for 6 weeks.
We did. We went to Amsterdam with the kids, which was
incredible.
Great. But like before you do it, you're like, what are we doing? Like this is, how are the kids going to react? Are they going what foods are we going to eat? How are they going to sleep? What are they going to do on the plane? And they were fine. They were so great.
And then my hands started becoming stronger. I had all my exercises. We did Montenegro for a month.
Which was ridiculous.
It
was so good.
We're still with our friends and all things. We'll send this to them. Say hello, everyone, through Boundless Life. Another
future sponsor.
Another future sponsor. And then I quit officially that other job that at one point it was so consuming. I couldn't even imagine quitting. And then I quit it and everything was fine. And I started this new company. And I've kind of come into this with like who I am now as like, I can do anything.
It is really, really amazing to watch that happen. You never want the trauma to happen, to watch the way that you rebound from that, because seeing that from an outsider's perspective and thinking like, I haven't gone through trauma. Like, I'm not that strong. You know, I could do anything I wanted to. And so it's really been powerful to watch you go through it and say like, no, like I'm tired of not defining my life the way that I want to, because then I see that and I'm like, why am I not doing that? And why like, let's do that in all of our areas of our lives, you know? And it's been really, really great to see.
I know. And thank you for noticing. Cause sometimes I like talk to old coworkers and I'm like, hi, I'm a different person. Like, let me reintroduce myself because kind of like this crazy, insane thing happened. And I kind of knew who I was and fought and like, I'm going to fight. And so like, for example, at work, I have a new boss and he's like, oh, you're going to be tricky. And I'm like, well, I'm going to stand up for myself, but things that I would never have done even a year ago, you know?
Yeah. And we're continuing to see the growth, even like to your point, even this week, I see something in you and I'm like, oh, that's different. Like that, she wouldn't have done that at her last role.
Yeah.
You know?
I know.
It is really, really, it's powerful.
Thank you. Well, I'm so happy you noticed. You have a front row seat to it.
I do.
But even like it's like in our lives with our family, like it's very different in subtle ways, but I think it's made us stronger.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And inspire each other.
Yes, that is for sure.
Yeah.
We'll have to do a separate episode about what we're doing, our side projects.
Great. Yeah. All the side projects.
We have many.
Okay, babe. It's weird when I say your name, Russell.
Hello, Allison.
Hello, Russell. Okay, babe. Thanks for being on the very first episode ever. I
loved it.
Okay, good. I'd love to have you back.
Great. I can do that. We need a third chair.
I know.
I'll just be on the sideline.
Well, also this beautiful place. We're at Who's Books with our amazing friends, John and Claudia. It's being produced by Jordan Gooch, one of our good friends. I think our friend Mary Beth is going to sing the opening song.
Oh,
so
yes. We talked about that.
Yeah. It's just going to be kind of like a fun thing for regular folks to realize that they also have their own resiliency and they can learn from it and they can be stronger too. So that's kind of what my vision is for this.
Yeah, I love it.
Good. Well, thank you. I know it's not our favorite topic to talk about, but just think how far we've come.
Yeah, and this is the beginning.
Beginning.
Yep.
Hey, I love you.
Love you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of When the Dog Bites with myself, Allison Macklick. These stories are real and these people are vulnerable and it's really impactful. And I hope that you walked away feeling inspired and knowing that when something like maybe your own dog bite happens, that you can face it with resiliency and know that you can do hard things. Tune in soon. We'll be back. Thank you.